A second story demonstrating our culture's hostility against historic Christianity involves a 25-year military veteran.
My name's Colonel Leland Bohannon, U.S. Air Force retired. 2017, May of that year, I was commanding an organization called the Air Force Inspection Agency, and so I worked for the Air Force Inspector General. I had about 120 people in my command, and one of my non-commissioned officers was going to retire. The Master Sergeant requested a retirement certificate, and he also requested a certificate of appreciation for his spouse, which is a customary act that most commanders will offer to their subordinates when they retire.
So far, so good. Colonel Bohannon had a thriving career in the Air Force and had the medals to prove it. So what was the problem with signing this particular form?
His spouse was of the same sex. And so my problem came in affixing my name to a document that would cause me to affirm or endorse a relationship, or really a definition of marriage that was inconsistent with the Orthodox understanding of what marriage is in the Bible.
A higher-up seemed to solve the problem by signing the document instead of Colonel Bohannon. But the retiring officer nevertheless submitted a discrimination complaint.
So shortly after the complaint, I was suspended from command.
Would Colonel Bohannon, who was then found guilty by the Air Force of unlawful discrimination, lose everything he had worked so hard for because he refused to violate his conscience?
So the entire process, I think, took a little under a year to ultimately resolve. There were certainly times during that period of time where there was a considerable amount of angst in our home, and there was a considerable amount of stress in our family.
He received help when he reached out to the religious rights legal group, First Liberty, which helped him resolve the conflict by appealing to then Air Force Secretary Heather Wilson.
The Secretary's staff looked at it and found that really I had not unlawfully discriminated. I had only exercised my free right to exercise my religion in accordance with my conscience.
Colonel Bohannon told me that he had felt like a dark cloud had been lifted from over his head and his family's head, that this is something that had been, they'd been struggling with, not just in his professional career, but in their personal lives for several months now.
Sadly, we live at a time when many on the left are trying to squelch traditional Christian messages or morality out of the public square.